I don't know, bittersweet news this week. I say bittersweet. So James Earl Jones died at the age of 93 at his home in Poly, New York. I say bittersweet because like this is the kind of thing that he's such. Of course, we know from Star Wars. He's just such a huge fucking fixture in Star Wars, but he also was just
one of the most iconic vocal performances
and actors.
I'm
Star Wars,
specifically about Star Wars,
yes,
like
absolutely
most iconic vocal performances of all time.
Yes,
I think.
Yeah, and all the runners up are also characters he voiced, like Mufasa and fucking Lion King.
Yep.
In addition to that, a prolific stage actor and just actor all over the fucking place in popular media.
He was in a bunch of PBS stuff. He was on Sesame Street a couple times.
Yes, an EGOT winner, which is to say an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony winner, which is very rare. Doesn't happen all the time. In fact, he got his first Tony Award was in 1969, and then he got an Emmy in 91. And then he got an Oscar in 2011, and so he's very decorated. There been a lot of people obviously coming out of the woodwork to pay respects. Everyone from fucking Denzel Washington and other actors to the presidential candidate Kamala Harris and Bill Clinton and like all these, like just the whole world was like, man. It's got to be James Earl Jones. On the other hand, he lived a long, storied, prolific life.
93 is older than most people get to, and through his work, he touched more lives than almost anyone else.
Yeah. He was absolutely exceptional. He made his Broadway debut in 1957.
That is an entirely different world.
Yes.
Like just thinking about a black man on Broadway
in the 50s, even in the late 50s, especially in the late 50s, actually, because that's right around when the civil rights thing started, kind of started cooking, and there were the really terrible things happening to people of color in America.
Like
that
really just speaks to how gifted an actor he was.
Yes.
That he was able to break through even then.
Yeah. I mentioned that he got his first Tony Award for Best Actor in 1969 for The Great White Hope, where he played the role of boxer Jack Jefferson. Of course, played the voice of Darth Vader in 1977. Mm-hmm. The voice of Mufasa in Disney's first animated rendition of The Lion King in 1944.
I hate that you have to specify it's the first animated.
Well, it's funny because they're like, oh, we're going to do a live action Lion King reboot. And it's like, bitch, that's all computer animated.
It's not live action.
There's nothing in it that's real. Like it's all fake. Won Emmy Awards in 1991, 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Gabriel's Fire and Heat Wave. Tony, he had the best actor for his Tony Award for Best Actor was in 1987, year I was born. And he won his second Tony for Fences by August Wilson as Oscar in 2011. It was an honorary Academy Award for his lifetime of work, and then had a Tony Lifetime Achievement Award in 2017. Just all around a class act guy, made it through 93 years of life as a public figure and actor without a single fucking
scandal or
weird gross thing. Just all around a great guy. Fucking, we'll miss you, man. Fucking Godspeed.
He was everywhere, in part because you have to take every job as an actor, basically.
Yeah.
Just like today, I was listening on the radio to a recording of him doing Lincoln Portrait.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I've heard his version of Lincoln Portrait. So if you, for those of you who don't know, Aaron Copland,
the great American composer. Yeah.
The inventor of the American sound.
Yeah.
Like when you watch a fucking cowboy movie, and you hear that old American sound,
like the silent strings, like the trumpet just mournfully playing long notes,
or even the action, the giddy up horsey shit.
That's Rodeo, by the way.
Yeah, that all came from Aaron Copland. He invented the American sound for film scores and orchestral music. Wrote a piece for orchestra and narrator using only the words from Abraham Lincoln's speeches in history. And having conducted the work myself, I know there's a note in the beginning of the score that says the lines are not meant to be dramatized. They are meant to be just read off of the paper with no drama. And it's like, motherfucker, James Earl Jones doesn't read anything without putting drama on it. Like it's just the quality of his voice. Right. And so that, his version of that is one of my favorites between him and William Warfield. With Leonard Bernstein in the New York Phil. But go and search YouTube for James Earl Jones Lincoln Portrait. Not only is it fantastic, amazing music, who conducted that one? So, like I said, Godspeed, sir. The world did not deserve you. And it also makes me think, like I look back at, I'm like 1957, Jesus Christ, and I realize that John Williams has been writing film scores since 1951.
Yeah.
And he's about as old. And somehow still alive and writing music and conducting concerts.
Remember when the rumor was that he was going to retire after Star Wars 9?
Yeah.
And he's still doing
Well, I think he said he was going to retire and was like, I thought I wouldn't. And then also Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford are still around and also are not young men.
No. So
it's that era. Those actors are
gonna watch a lot of our heroes go.
Yeah. So this brings up an interesting thing though.
Okay.
Because you might remember that in Obi-Wan Kenobi, James Earl Jones signed over the rights of his archival voice work to Lucasfilm.
So just to preface this, the last time he voiced Darth Vader, like him, the flesh and blood, was Rogue One.
Yeah.
And he sounded about
86 or however old he was.
He sounded 40 years older.
Yeah, your voice changes quite a bit when you get that age. I mean,
and it's not his fault. It's just biology.
Yeah. And so he signed over the rights to his voice work archive and everything, which is, I'm sure he got paid immensely for it. I mean, that would have been hundreds of millions of dollars. I bet
for a voice that good.
Yeah,
it would have been worth it.
And that famous. Yeah. And they used AI in conjunction with that archive to kind of recreate his voice for Obi-Wan Kenobi. So when you hear Vader's voice, the James Earl Jones part, both when he's suited up as Vader, but also in that scene where they kind of blend James Earl Jones's voice with Hayden Christensen and everything. That's AI work with, drawing off of an archive of James Earl Jones's voice work. And this also connects to another thing we're talking about today, because it
feels kind of icky.
It does. And I try not to get sentimental about people dying. Because I believe that when you're dead, it's done. Like there is no afterlife. I mean, you've got one life. That's it. And in fact, actually, this is totally random, but I'm having a surgical procedure on Monday, and the surgeon was like, I think actually I can probably do it without putting you under. Like, do you want me to do that? And I was like, yes. And I was really excited to say yes. And he's like, that's not what people usually say. And I told him, I was like, I'm an atheist, and I've been under the knife before. I've had surgery before, like when I had my appendectomy, and that black eternal void of nothing when you're knocked out, that's what death is like. And I would prefer not to experience that.
Okay.
Which is to experience nothing. Just the idea of it, though, it really is like, oh God. Yeah. So, what was I going to say?
So let me try to get us back on track.
Oh yeah. Okay. So not
also in Rogue One.
Right. Hold on. So not sentimental about death. The idea of you know, was it their wish to do this or was it their wish to do that? And it's like, motherfucker, they're dead. Like, it's like, does their family care? And do they express before they die that they didn't care? And if they didn't care, then who the fuck cares? But also there's another side of it where it's just like they've got their dead body with marionette strings and they're like, oh, Bernie's,
yeah,
right? Yeah, exactly. And this is, I don't know, it just feels kind of weird.
So you might remember also in Rogue One, Disney resurrected AI simulacrums of Peter Cushing.
Yeah, which by the way, when I saw that movie, I was like, holy shit, it looks so good. Looking back at it,
it looks rough. Because
I don't know why they did so many close-ups. So I don't know.
They were so proud because
and they should have been at the time.
Yes,
it was
it is
insane.
So far in advance of anything anyone else had done.
It was like right before they started doing the deepfake things that just sold shit like that way more, and then it ruined Peter Cushing in that movie.
Carrie Fisher as well.
Right. Well, that one wasn't as good.
Well, yeah.
That one was kind of woo.
Anyway.
She really liked it, though. She saw it before she died and thought it was amazing.
Good for her.
Yeah.
So Peter Cushing, that being remade into that AI thing, his family is now suing for... what was it?
Is it his family or isn't his? I thought it was his like friend who owns this company. Let me look at my notes real quick.
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure that. Why does this keep scrolling? Okay, listen, Tim Apple, if you're watching this, because I know that you watch Jedi Enclave Presents now this podcast every week. There's no reason why the Google Docs app on my fucking iPad should be this bad. I don't know if just buy Google if you have to and fix this. It's absolutely insane. So this was Kevin Francis, a longtime collaborator and owner of some company. I don't know. Tyburn Film Productions filed a lawsuit against Disney and the producers of Rogue One, claiming unjust enrichment because apparently...
because Peter Cushing died in 1994, which was well before anybody thought that this sort of technology would be possible.
Right.
So
that was like space age.
Right. So Peter Cushing could not possibly have legally signed over image rights because he wouldn't have even thought this was possible.
Yes. However, when they were doing the special edition run of Star Wars, when they remastered Star Wars, the Lucasfilm acquired the rights to his likeness so that they could work on the special edition or whatever. They didn't recreate him or anything. It's just because they couldn't pay him.
Sure.
Right. And the estate said, and they cut him a woefully small check for it. And so I don't know who I'm like with on this, because on one hand, it's like Peter Cushing's rando friend who's like, oh, actually I had veto powers over Peter Cushing's face.
That's a little weird.
Yeah. And it's like, are you doing this because you really cared about Peter Cushing or is it like
you thought you could get money?
This is a good payday, right?
Yeah.
But also Disney is like pulling the same like, oh, so you got a Disney Plus subscription, which
means you can't sue us because your wife died.
Yeah, and it's like it kind of feels like that's what they're like. Well, remember back in the 90s when we did this and you paid this, we paid you $7,000 or whatever for his face. Like, well, we own literally everything about him now. So
the good news is you don't have to pick a side. Yeah. Sometimes you can just say,
fuck them both.
You both suck. I'm just going to sit here and eat my popcorn and watch them fight.
Well, so the way I weigh this is like, okay, which one of them is the multi-billion-dollar corporation that I want to see you crash and burn? Mm-hmm. Disney? Okay, well, I'm not on their side.
Okay, yeah fair.